This is the New York City FC pregame live. Tonight, New York City head down to North Carolina to open up the playoffs against Charlotte FC. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
Well, you know who we got here. Matty Lawrence. I'm Glenn Crooks. We're your radio commentary team for the New York City Football Club. The pregame show will start at 6:30 tonight with some words from Pascal Janssen, the New York City head coach. We have the lineups, Matty, and I think it's worthwhile to get right into it. As New York City, they've never won a game here at Bank of America Stadium, 0-4. Including a game earlier this year, 2-0. And we see something that is not necessarily familiar, but something we're anticipating that has happened before, and that is Andres Pereira playing out on the left side in attack. Hannes Wolf is on the bench at the start of this one, and Aiden O'Neill back at the midfield, Justin Hack at the back, in the midfield with O'Neill, forgive me, and then we go from there.
Yeah, I think it's a little strange, but what we do know is that Pereira, O'Neill and Hack have all been playing pretty well as of late. Right. I know O'Neill's been on the bench, but he's been playing well for Australia, for his national team. It's not a huge surprise. Certainly when you're playing away from home here, they've got the best home record in the league, joint best home record in the league with Philadelphia. So there's nothing wrong with being a little bit more defensive. I think Nathan Byrne on the right-hand side, the right back, the orthodox right back for Charlotte, I think he likes to bomb on as well. Pereira has the athleticism to stick with him as well. And he will be diligent in his defensive duties. So look, Glenn, I've got a little bit of a twinkle in my eye and a skip in my step here. Because if you're going to beat Charlotte at home, which we know is very difficult, this is the time to do it. You've got a very good lineup. Granted, you've lost 3 of your last 4 games. You've lost your last 2 games on the bounce if you're NYCFC, Glenn. But I don't think that matters. I genuinely don't think it matters. You come into playoff football, that's right, and everything goes out of the window. We are now just talking about 90-minute games. Yes, I know it's a series of 3, but it's each individual 90-minute game and playoffs if we need it, as we saw with Minnesota and Seattle last night. And you need those penalty kicks. I think I would fancy NYCFC if it goes to penalties. I think if you offered Pascal Janssen penalty kicks right now, he'd say, do away with the 90 minutes. Let's just have a penalty shootout, and we'll go with that.
Especially in a building where New York City has never won a match against a team that is defending very well right now. They went through a bad stretch, did Charlotte, where they lost 9 of 11. But that was a while ago. And in fact, the 9-game win streak, which is the longest in MLS this season, occurred after Charlotte defeated New York City here back on July the 12th. And that was the first of a run of 9 consecutive victories. That's where Wilfred Zaha started to make his mark as well. He will not be in the squad tonight. He is suspended. Pep Biel, who's been one of the top players in the league, 10 goals and 12 assists, he will not be in the squad tonight due to injury. So those are 2 massive losses. And the thing I've said, Matty, regarding this game with those 2 top players, 2 top attacking players, Zaha, 10 goals, 10 assists. I mean, that's a lot of goal contributions not available to to Charlotte. This is a game, this is kind of borders on that. You kind of must win this one.
I think so. I really do. Because they're so hard to beat at home, there's no better time to be playing them with, as you say, 2 of their best players, certainly in the attacking sense, missing. For me, though, even without those 2 guys, this Charlotte team is so strong, Glenn. And I think you and I think anybody who talks about football, you talk about the spine of teams. And the spine of this team is quite exemplary. It really is. You've got Kalina, one of the best goalkeepers, with Matt Freese in the whole of MLS. You've got Malanda at centre-half, who is, for me, the best centre-half in the league. Middlesbrough have paid, $9-10 million for him. He will be going to Middlesbrough.
Tristan Blackwood, by the way, Vancouver named today the MLS Defender of the Year,
yeah.
but I don't disagree with you. you know
exactly.
how those awards are.
I know how those awards are.
Yes.
And look, Malanda is off to Middlesbrough, who are second in the Championship, could well be a Premier League team come May. Alongside him is Tim Ream, who is skipper material, but doesn't play as skipper because Ashley Westwood does. Ream has played in the Premier League for a number of years, and he's still a US international. We're still talking about the spine here. In front, Westwood, the skipper, the aforementioned skipper, played for Aston Villa and Burnley in the Premier League. And then Gianni alongside him with that rangy emotion he's got, covers ground, brilliant alongside Westwood. Bronico's a hard work in front of him, and then Top Clamati, the first line of defence. Yes, scores goals, but I love him as the first line of defence. Any centre forward, as Castellanos did so well for NYCFC, the first line of defence, he sets the tone for you defensively, and Top Clamati does that here. That spine of the team is very, very good, Glenn. It really is. But you're right, and we are right. Without Zaha, without BL, this is a good time to be playing Charlotte.
And Dean Smith had some thoughts about Zaha getting the second yellow on decision day against Philadelphia when Charlotte had the match won. It was 2-0. It was the 90th minute. It was foolish, but he referred more to the first yellow, which was given for dissent. So here was Dean Smith at his weekly presser.
I looked at the ruling, and the wording wasn't, it didn't give me as much clarity as I would like, so I called just to see, because you can appeal a first yellow card if you think there's some wrongdoing in it, if it leads to a red. But the wording of unsportsmanship, caution for unsporting behaviour, didn't warrant an appeal, even though it was felt by all that Wilf didn't deserve that first yellow card.
Was it for something he said, supposedly? Because it was Toffolo who made the...
Yeah, Toff's... I mean, if you look at it back, Wilf gets fouled, he gets kicked in the back of the leg. He appeals for the foul. Him and the opposition player go chest to chest, and then Harry jumps in as the protector. And, unfortunately, Wilf gets booked for pretty much nothing. He doesn't even get the foul.
You gotta love Dean Smith.
You gotta love Dean Smith. And what's interesting too is, and I want to bring it up, I have before, but Matty Lawrence, and I recently interviewed Matty and one of his former teammates at Crystal Palace, Sean Derry, for my show on Sirius XMFC, and we brought up Zaha, who both of you were familiar with. He was a youngster that came into training, made his debut at a very young age, but I just remember Sean, when I asked him, is this at all out of character? Are you surprised by this? And you've said, absolutely not. And that's so I guess he hasn't changed over the years.
No, he hasn't. And yes, he first came over and trained with us at Palace when he was 16. Then he made his debut when he was 17. And he's always played with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with playing with a bit of a chip on your shoulder and a little bit of arrogance and a little bit of petulance. But it just can't spill over. And when you're 32 years of age, you can't get away with it. It's that impetuous nature of youth. You're now 32. You're a fully formed, fully grown adult. You've got children. You should know better than in a game that is dead and buried. You're 2-0 up.
Yeah,
it's dead. Whatever happens in the first yellow card, you already know you've got it. You've got that yellow card. So keep your mouth quiet. Don't get involved. You're 2-0 up. Point
Sprint
at the scoreboard.
away.
Sprint away. Run away. That's all you have to do. But Wilfred has been like that. It's part of what makes him who he is and what's made him a good player. But at times it just spills over a little bit too much, which is why we are now left with saying, Glenn, this is awesome. Zaha suspended. No better time to play against this team because Zaha is a difference maker on his day. He hasn't been enough this season, but he will turn up in big games, and today's a big game. But he's not here.
8 game-winning goal contributions, 8. Now, we turn now to Alonso Martinez on the New York City side, who leads MLS with 10 game-winning goals. He's got 17 in all, but he's left a number of goals on the table. So I brought this up with Pascal Janssen, his manager, at our pregame briefing. The full conversation coming up at 6:30 on our live commentary pregame show on the network. And I brought up the miss against Philadelphia when he dribbled Andre Blake and just completely missed the target. So here's Pascal addressing that.
It's funny that you mentioned that statistic as well, because that is something that we've talked about with the team in general, because he gets himself into these positions, but we also mustn't forget how the team gets him in these areas and make sure that he can get us the goals. This specific moment against Philadelphia is an interesting one, because it could have set us off with a 1-0 score, and you never know.
You get the goal then.
Exactly. Like we mentioned in the presser, the importance of the first goal. But this specific moment, it's interesting because Tico is aiming for more goals, of course, and more goals than last season, because he finished on 17 last season, and the same goes for this season. He should have scored. It's as simple as that. The only thing that we mentioned in this specific moment, if he was aware of other choices. And in this particular moment, he was not aware of the other players that might be in a better position to finish off than himself.
So I had never thought of it in those terms. And by the way, his expected goals is second in MLS at 23.04. He's got 17, so that's what we were referring to there as well. But he also talked about, Pascal did, about the teammates setting him up, too, the responsibility of those around him as well.
Yeah, that's quite a big disparity for me. If you're expected to score 23 times and you've only got 17, that's a difference, obviously, of 6. That's a big difference. You want your centre forwards to be scoring more than their expected goals, because that means they're clinical. That means they're finishing off those chances that aren't a given. So that's a little bit problematic for me. I don't mind my centre forwards being selfish, Glenn. That's what you want. Any good centre forward is selfish. Against Philadelphia, he should have scored, and he should have scored himself. I wasn't so worried about what was going on around him. I was worried about the fact that he didn't score again when he was in a good position. For me, he needs too many opportunities to score. Yes, he's a clinical finisher, but not clinical enough, Glenn. And I may be doing him a disservice, but for me, I can back it up statistically with the XG. You should have scored 23. You've only got 17. That shows me that, and statistically speaking, you are not as clinical as you should be.
And this week I wrote a Q&A after a conversation with Alonso, thanks to the translation of Esteban Camino in our communications department. And one thing I asked him, which he turned and smiled and kind of shook his head. I said, "When are we going to see a head ball goal?" And he said, "Well, I'm not of that stature." And I went, "Okay." I wanted to say Maxi Morales had a head ball goal. Johnny Shore had a head ball goal earlier in the year, but he does say that they train it every day. I mean, the ball is flighted to him every day in training, he said, but he didn't hold out much hope for getting one here in the postseason.
Yeah, I also think because of his size and because of the size of the majority of the team, certainly when going forward, it's very rare that we see Pereira in the box or Thiago Martins in the box from open play. So I don't think many crosses come into the box at head height. So he doesn't need to head the ball too much. A lot of them are cutbacks, pullbacks, ball drilled across the face of the goal, across the top of the 6-yard
I don't think
box.
I've ever seen them stand them up at the back post.
Absolutely. So yes, there's a little bit of a reason for it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that with his stature. But yes, of course, any fully rounded player has to be able to finish with the left, with the right, with a half volley, with a volley, and of course with a header as well, Glenn. But that will come, and hopefully, Glenn, that will come today as well.
It could, as New York City plays at Charlotte FC, and here the teams both now have come out onto the field for their warm-up activities. It's Charlotte to the right, New York City just coming on to our left. As Matt Freese is in goal. That's a service right there from Rob Vertoogian in the lower left portion of your screen. How this road record that Charlotte has, the home record that they have, where and they've broken all kinds of records. The records for wins, points, home victories. Goals scored. I mean, they've had that, and also most clean sheets in a single season with 13. So they've really had for them as a franchise, it's been a remarkable year. Yet they've never won a playoff game, and they're in search of that today too.
Yeah, they are. Look, they are exemplary at home. Yes, they're joint top. Philadelphia are a little bit better in terms of goal difference, but they've both got 40 points from 17 games. That's quite phenomenal. They've won 13 of their 17 games at home, Glenn. I'm absolutely with you. We don't want it to be now, that's for certain, with our NYCFC hat on, that is for sure. But this is a very strong team at home. They enjoy playing here. It will be a relatively vociferous crowd. We assume there'll be at least 30,000 here, if not 35,000.
Pre-sold 30 plus.
And look, the rain's holding off so far, which certainly helps with walk-up traffic.
Well, they're hoping
to
fill the lower bowl. And there you see, they didn't sell the upper bowl. It's just that lower bowl there that you're looking at. And it's artificial turf. I wonder as a player, look, so New York City is not accustomed to playing on the plastic. And you're not training on it either. I'm sometimes a bit surprised that there's not a choice of perhaps going to a facility and training on turf, but you probably can't get the exact turf that you're going to play on here. So how long does it take to get accustomed to it, like in that opening half of play? Because you're put right into it.
Certainly, AstroTurf was not a thing for me when I was playing professional football, but I was over here for 4 years at Hartwick College, as you know, and AstroTurf was a thing there. But what we did with the great Jim Lennox as our head coach was when we knew we were playing a team on AstroTurf, away from home, obviously, because Elmore Field was grass, we would go and train on AstroTurf for the week leading into it. And you know, from college schedule, sometimes it could only be 2 days because of the very, very congested college schedule. But we would always go on it. And you can't tell me that NYCFC doesn't have the ability to do it, but they choose not to. So to answer the question, how long does it take to get accustomed? I would say 10, 15 minutes, really. Of course, you go out there pre-match as the players are now, and you get a little bit of a feel for it.
Yeah, you got to really bang it around maybe in a different way than you would in your normal warm-up. Right?
And it does take a little while, and it doesn't matter how long it takes you. The opposition is much more accustomed to it because they play 50% of their games here. So they're right up to speed with it, Glenn. So, yes, as much as Dean Smith loved to tell us about the advantage NYCFC had at Yankee Stadium, and he bemoaned playing at Citi Field or Yankee Stadium, they have a massive plus for them here, massive advantage, playing in an American football stadium on plastic that they are used to, as their home record shows.
It reminds me of what Pascal Janssen has said. It's like that's just an excuse when you come into Yankee Stadium because, as he put it, I could complain that we go to Soldier Field and there's football lines and the field's in terrible condition, or to Gillette or here or wherever that has artificial turf. You could also say something there. Hey, Tony Larson has been with us and with the club from the start as a supporter. So thank you for the message, Tony, and thank you for listening. And, our good friend is back again. There's Eber, who left a really nice message. There were several former players who sent little messages to the team prior. And so, Eber, I know you'll be watching tonight, and it's always wonderful to hear from you. It is playoff time, and that's why, we're a little look. We were juiced for decision day, and then got very disappointed because that was a poor match. There was not much happening in that match. I remember driving back from that, or some sort of post-game discussion we had, and we had a really difficult time figuring out who had a good game today. I mean, who had an effective game. I think all we could come up with was the central defense of Martins and Gustavo.
Absolutely. Look, as a football fan or as a sports fan, you're constantly let down, aren't you? We're no different. Yes, we're working for the football club, but we're also fans a little bit as well. We try and be as neutral as we can, Glenn, but obviously we're always going to be 51-52% NYCFC, and that was a letdown. For me, it was the way they started the game. It just didn't feel that they were, I know it's a cliche, at the races. They didn't really outfight, outbattle the opponent. to start off with in that opening 15, 20 minutes of the game. But look, this is totally different now. It's playoff football. The regular season's absolutely irrelevant now. Whatever's gone before is irrelevant, Glenn. This is a one-off game tonight, and then there'll be another one-off game on Friday. Best of 3 series, of course, but you'll take them in their own little matches. This is a game of 90 minutes or a game of 90 minutes plus penalties if we need them.
Again, on the Charlotte FC side, no Wilfred Zaha, and he'll be replaced by Liel Abada, who's played in 32 of the 34 regular games, but only started 17 of them, 5 goals and a couple of assists. And when Zaha came in as a transfer, or actually still being on loan from Galatasaray,
Fenerbahce.
Oh, is it Fenerbahce? Oh, I thought it was Galatasaray. All right. We better look that up. Anyway, either way, it's one of those Turkish clubs, and he kind of took over. And then Kerwin Vargas, there was actually on that right side, that was the competition, and Vargas has had a wonderful year. But Abada gets his chance today. And on the New York City side, as we close, let's break down Andres Pereira playing on the left side of the attack. That's what we figure will happen based on this starting 11 that you see scrolling if you're watching this on the lower third of the screen. That setup worked well in the first match against FC Cincinnati. New York City beat Cincinnati twice by the score of 1-0, including the first match in May at home. And Pereira was set up. Wolf did not play in that game. Pereira was set up on that left side. What do you recall about that, and what is the impact possibly tonight?
Well, I think you lose width because he's not a naturally wide player, Pereira. I think he's going to cut inside. But I think what you do gain is he really has that desire to get into the penalty area, which is a good thing. So you lose width, but you gain some strength and some solidity down the centre. And we know he can head the ball. We know he's good in the air. And he does have a real hunger to break into that penalty box. So I think that it can be a positive, really, rather than a negative. Yes, you lose a little bit of width, but Hannes Wolf isn't that winger who hugs the touchline, goes at the fullback and gets to the byline and crosses it in.
No, that's the truth.
So,
and Pereira's been feeling it since that first game back at Cincinnati in May. I mean, he has become a more complete player this year and is often in the penalty area trying to score goals, and we've seen what he does in the air, so he might try to connect on a couple of Tavon Gray services if he can get in.
And I think Pereira, as much as Justin Hack has been all season, you find a way. You've got to find a way to get Pereira in the team right now, Glenn, because of how well he's playing. Yes, we know that Wolf had a little bit of a niggle in training, a little bit of an issue, which is why maybe he's on the bench. But also, you want to get your better players in, and Hack, O'Neill, and Pereira. It's really just a way of finding them, how to get them in the team. And I don't see anything wrong with that. It's not really square pegs in round holes because Pereira's done it and he's been successful at it. He's just not truly a wide player. But I think we NYCFC can benefit from him really adding to the central strength alongside Alonso Martinez. I think quite a lot of the time, depending on how much they have the ball, you will see him almost playing as a twin nine. I know he won't play like that, but he will get that high up the field. That's what I'm saying.
And New York City was hit in a minor way with the flu bug earlier in the week. And in fact, Aiden O'Neill, who sat out decision day, he was bothered by it at that point, and he's been slow in his recovery. Alonso Martinez earlier in the week, he was slowed down by the flu, but apparently the word is that, and you see, everyone is fit to play. Wolf was a little questionable coming in, according to Pascal Janssen, not really a specific reason why. And you see he is on the bench, so is available tonight for New York City FC. And if we look at the bench, Matty, one man who is there that we at least want to mention what perhaps his family is going through a bit, Seymour Reed. He's a Jamaican U17 international, homegrown for New York City FC. And Matty, we don't have any word with exactly how this may be impacting. That is the Hurricane Melissa, which is a Category 4 or 5, whatever it is when it hits in certain sections of Jamaica. But it's a lot of people evacuated, and but as far as your research, they might be in a zone that might not be impacted quite as much as other parts of the island?
Yeah, of course, off the top of my head, I don't know where Seymour Reed's family is. We don't,
Sure.
but we do know that Seymour Reed was born in Kingston, and we do know that Kingston is on the southeast coast of Jamaica, and that predominantly it is breaking west hurricane, and has broken west Hurricane Melissa, and up more through Montego Bay. So it doesn't mean you're escaping, and it doesn't mean that everything's well and good. We don't know that, but we're hoping, of course, that Seymour Reed's family is safe and well, but also everybody on that island, because it is getting hit horrifically and has been hit horrifically since about noon today.
Yeah, I mean, it's positive vibes being sent that way. Hugh Menzies, former Jamaican women's national team coach and a friend, texted him a little bit earlier today. He is not there, but he has family there and friends. So you just, you never know. And again, hopefully everybody figures out how to be safe through all this. So Reed on the bench, along with Ilinich, Shore, Romero, Ojeda, Tanasiewicz, Wolf, Julian Fernandez, and Cavallo. So you've got some weapons off the bench, Matty, for sure, including Reed, depending on what happens with Alonso Martinez.
Yeah, and look, I think the two for me that stand out are Ojeda and Fernandez. I think they're playing full of confidence, even though they're now they're still substitutes. When they come on, they are very, very direct. You look at them and they're confident. And so, they're two massive weapons to come off the bench, and then Seymour Reed as well. And just to add, Glenn, you were right, Galatasaray. Zaha was at Galatasaray. Don't know why I thought Fenerbahce. You're the man, I'm wrong. I'm happy to admit it, Glenn, you know that.
No, I just was so certain. And then, but you're never wrong, Maddie. This is so it's the first time.
First time for everything.
The first
Don't tell
time.
my girlfriend.
All right, we got to drop off because our pregame show on our live commentary is starting in about 3 minutes. So we're gonna have to drop off. So in order to listen to us and watch the game, you have to sync the audio with the video on Apple, or if you're watching on FS1. And it's the New York City FC radio network. It's on the TuneIn app. Also, if you have the New York City FC app, it'll be on there. If you have the New York City website, it'll be on there as well for you to get the syncing done here on the New York City FC radio network. Chris Sakonis will also be joining us to host our halftime show, and our hope will be there are some highlights for him to play during the interval in this one. It's Charlotte, New York City FC, game one of the best of three in the opening round playoff series in MLS. For Matty, I'm Glenn. Enjoy the game, everybody.